Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have just been banned from this year's major royal wedding. And it is a particular humiliation for the so-called Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Well, let's start with Meghan and Harry because they've been snubbed by their family.
This is a brutal snub.
Meghan Markle has just had a date night with a Finnish man who has been accused of both sexual harassment and racism.
Meghan Markle come speak at an event for bullying when she's one of the biggest bullies, in my opinion.
Meghan Markle has rebranded yet again. But is it I have a headache chic or modern domestic snobbery?
To be honest, I think that's a bit more of a threat to Prince Harry, isn't it? It's like, you're not getting away from me. So let's have a look at these. Oh, God. Yes, they were in love once, folks. They were. You know, as Lady Colin Campbell put it, he was whipped at the time. And this was an era where there was true happiness, really, between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It wasn't to last, of course. And it is quite extraordinary that Meghan Markle posted before her trip of the child believed to be Lily, her so-called daughter. And Angela, you say that if you look carefully, Lily seems to have a damaged foot.
Yes,
and you also
that.
say that this picture, Angela, shows that Lily is worshipping Meghan and that you don't believe Meghan is a good mother.
Yes.
And you think at 4 she must now know that no one wants to see her face, and that is highly unfair.
Well, you can see that actually. There's Meghan, she's got her dress. There's this little girl sitting down knowing that no one is allowed to see her face. Can you imagine, for a child of 4, she mustn't turn around. Her hair is never cut properly. I watch it and she never really does it. It's a mess, right? And this foot, looks terrible to me. I don't know if it's something very wrong or not, but it must be very uncomfortable to sit on it. But the other thing is, she's got to be there to sort of worship her mother.
This is what royal exile actually looks like. Not titles being removed. Not guards showing up. Not some dramatic palace announcement. Just a wedding invitation. That never arrives. Because according to discussions online, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle may have just received one of the clearest signals yet about where they now stand with the royal family publicly. And according to many viewers online, critics believe this one hurts differently. Because this wasn't some state event. Not a coronation. Not trooping the color. Not an official royal duty. This was family. A wedding. Small. Private. Personal. Which is exactly why critics online think the message landed so hard. Because according to reporting discussed online, Harry's cousin Peter Phillips is preparing to marry Harriet Spurling. And according to commentators referenced in the discussion, the guest list reportedly reads like a reunion of the royal family. King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, Princess and Side, Zara and Mike. Extended family. Everybody. Except the Sussexes. Now importantly, public discussion referenced reports and commentary around invitations and family relationships. Attendance details can change and some claims discussed publicly remain commentary rather than official palace statements. But according to many viewers online, the symbolism became impossible to ignore. Because Peter wasn't some distant relative. According to discussions online, Peter has long been described publicly as someone who was historically close to both William and Harry. That's what made people react. Not because Harry missed an event. Because critics online started asking, if even this invitation didn't happen, what's left? Then another thing made the timing feel brutal. Because according to discussions online, all of this arrived while Meghan's Geneva appearance was already generating criticism online. The crowd comparisons. The social media debate, the controversy around a dinner photograph, and then almost immediately afterward, anniversary content, wedding nostalgia, relationship messaging. According to many viewers online, critics online immediately connected everything together. Then came the theory that exploded. Critics online started saying, This isn't
have
punishment.
a 40% higher
This isn't
likelihood of
revenge.
overcoming mental
This is
health
something
challenges.
colder.
Because Australia's
Acceptance.
sport-based
Move
community
forward.
Just
No
to cover
drama.
her arrival.
No
The
confrontation.
contrast with everything
Just
surrounding joint birthday
stop
celebration
including them.
for Archie
That
and Lilibet
interpretation
at
spread
Disneyland.
fast.
Lovely family
Because
moment.
according to many
Devoted
viewers
mother
online,
energy. Except,
people suddenly
and she's
realized
confirmed
something
she never signed
uncomfortable.
an NDA
Maybe
with
the royal family didn't
She
exile
has
Harry
everything.
and Meghan.
And she
Maybe
plans
they
to
simply
use it.
continued
The
without
public
them.
response was not
According to
sympathetic.
many viewers
This is a man
online,
under active
what
police
made the story
investigation
explode
who chose
is
to
that
walk.
people don't see weddings the same way they see official royal events. Weddings mean something different. They're personal. They're emotional. They tell you who still belongs. And according to discussions online, that's why critics believe this moment hit harder than missing a coronation or another palace ceremony. Because official events come with rules. Family weddings come with choices. That distinction became huge. Because according to commentary discussed publicly, Peter Phillips wasn't viewed as someone politically connected to palace drama. He was viewed as safe, neutral, family. And according to many viewers online, critics online believe that's exactly why people paid attention when Harry reportedly wasn't included. Then people started revisiting old royal moments. Prince Philip's funeral, family gatherings, public appearances. And according to discussions online, people remembered something symbolic. Peter standing between William and Harry publicly during one of the most emotionally difficult moments for the family. That image came back everywhere. Because critics online argued, if someone once trusted to stand between the brothers no longer includes one of them, that says something bigger than one invitation. That interpretation spread fast. Then another uncomfortable conversation started. People began separating two different ideas: being related versus being included. According to many viewers online, critics online argued Harry still has the first. But publicly, they believe he may be losing the second. Because according to discussions online, invitations communicate hierarchy emotionally. Who gets included? Who gets updated? Who gets remembered? Who becomes optional? That's where the conversation became brutal. Then another detail spread online. People pointed out that this wasn't even framed publicly as conflict. No statement. No fight. No dramatic rejection. According to many viewers online, critics online believe that made it feel colder emotionally. Because silence can sometimes feel more final than confrontation. Then another theory exploded. Critics online started saying the royal family may have learned something over the last few years. Distance creates fewer problems than arguments. No meetings. No leaks. No negotiations. No opportunities. Just space. Supporters obviously reject that interpretation. They argue families drift. Life changes. People live overseas. Relationships evolve. That's fair. But according to many viewers online, critics online believe people reacted because this wasn't just another missed event. This was one more reminder that time keeps moving, even when reconciliation doesn't. According to many viewers online, this is where the conversation became much more uncomfortable. Because critics online believe the wedding itself isn't the story. The guest list is. Because according to discussions online, people noticed something immediately. The family didn't disappear. The institution didn't collapse. The calendar kept moving. Events kept happening. And according to many viewers online, critics online think that realization hit harder than any official statement ever could. Because for years, a huge part of the public conversation surrounding Harry and Meghan has centered around one question. Would the family eventually bring them back emotionally? Would reconciliation happen? Would time fix things? Would someone reach out? Then according to discussions online, critics believe moments like this create a different impression entirely. Not rejection. Adjustment. Because critics online argue the family increasingly looks structured around the people who stayed. That interpretation spread quickly. Then another observation started getting attention. People noticed who kept appearing together publicly. William, Catherine, Anne, Sarah, Peter. Extended family. Shared events. Shared photos. Shared traditions. According to many viewers online, critics online believe those appearances communicate something emotionally. Continuity. And critics online argue continuity may be the one thing Harry and Meghan underestimated. Because according to discussions online, critics believe leaving royalty was originally imagined publicly as the institution loses two major stars. Instead, critics online think many viewers now interpret it as the institution adapted. That became another brutal conversation. Then people started revisiting Harry's earlier interviews. Freedom, new life, distance, building something different. According to many viewers online, critics online started asking something uncomfortable. If freedom was the goal, why does exclusion still seem to hurt publicly? Supporters obviously push back. They argue missing family relationships and choosing independence can exist together. That's reasonable. But critics online think moments like this complicate the narrative. Because critics argue people don't react strongly to events they've emotionally moved beyond. Then another difficult theory spread. Critics online started saying maybe this isn't exile at all. Maybe this is simply what separation looks like after enough years pass. No villains. No final argument. No dramatic scene. Just fewer calls. Fewer invitations. Fewer expectations. According to many viewers online, that possibility felt harsher than the idea of punishment. Because punishment implies emotion. This started looking like routine. And critics online believe routine may be the strongest signal, yet that royal life has quietly learned how to continue without Harry. According to many viewers online, this is where the story became unexpectedly harsh. Because critics online believe the real shift isn't anger anymore. It's acceptance. And according to discussions online, that may actually be worse. Because anger still means emotion. Anger means someone still expects something. Acceptance means people adjust. Move on. Build new routines. That's the interpretation critics online started attaching to this wedding discussion. Then another observation spread fast. People started comparing how the royal family handled earlier years versus now. Earlier. Responses. Statements. Damage control. Headline management. Now, according to many viewers online, critics online think something changed. Less reacting. Less responding. Less explaining. Just continuing. That became a major conversation. Because according to discussions online, critics started arguing that the institution may have realized something difficult. Every public conflict gave Harry and Meghan more relevance. But silence? Silence changes the center of attention. Then people started looking at the wedding itself differently. Not who got excluded, but who became normal. Because according to many viewers online, critics online noticed something symbolic. The people expected to be there are increasingly the same group. William, Catherine, Anne, Sarah, Peter. The working structure. The stable branch. According to critics online, repetition creates legitimacy emotionally. That observation became brutal. Because critics online started saying Harry and Meghan increasingly look less like rebels and more like distant relatives. That shift changes perception. Then another uncomfortable theory appeared. Critics online argued maybe the royal family stopped thinking in terms of, how do we bring them back? And started thinking, how do we operate without them? According to many viewers online, critics online believe moments like this wedding reinforce that impression publicly. Supporters push back. They argue public appearances reveal nothing about private relationships. That's true. But critics online responded. Public rituals matter. Who appears? Who gets invited? Who gets photographed? Who becomes part of shared memory? That's where symbolism lives. Then another difficult question appeared. People started asking, if Harry returned tomorrow, what exactly would he return to? According to discussions online, critics online believe that question feels more complicated now than it did years ago. Because time doesn't pause. Children grow up. Roles change. New routines form. And critics online argue moments like this wedding remind people that absence slowly becomes normal. Then another harsh realization spread. Critics online started saying maybe the biggest fear for Harry and Meghan isn't being rejected. Maybe it's becoming irrelevant to a family system that once shaped their entire identity. And according to many viewers online, That may be why one missing invitation suddenly felt much bigger than one wedding. According to many viewers online, if this wedding discussion happened during a quiet month, people probably would have moved on in a day. But critics online believe the timing made everything feel much bigger publicly. Because according to discussions online, all of this arrived immediately after Meghan's Geneva appearance became surrounded by criticism. And critics online argue that changed how people interpreted everything afterward. Because suddenly the contrast looked dramatic. One side, private family wedding, closed circle, old relationships, institutional stability. The other, international appearance, public criticism, photo controversies, image management debates. According to many viewers online, critics online immediately started comparing the emotional energy around both stories. Then another observation spread. People started noticing something uncomfortable. Geneva looked designed to emphasize independence. No Harry, no royal structure, no monarchy, just Meghan. That's how many critics online interpreted the trip publicly. And according to discussions online, people think that's exactly what made the wedding conversation feel harsher afterward. Because almost overnight, the public discussion returned straight back to royalty. Back to invitations. Back to family. Back to William. Back to Catherine. That shift became symbolic. Then another difficult comparison exploded. According to many viewers online, critics online started contrasting the imagery. Catherine. Crowds. Photos. Traditional royal energy. Meghan. Policy speeches. Small moments. Controversy cycles. Then, family wedding headlines. Critics online argued the sequence accidentally reinforced something Harry and Meghan have spent years trying to challenge. That public interest still becomes strongest when royal connections return to the story. That interpretation spread fast. Then people started revisiting the anniversary content too. Because according to discussions online, critics online connected everything together emotionally. Geneva criticism. Wedding invitation story. Then unseen wedding photos. Then relationship messaging. According to many viewers online, critics online argued it created the impression that the answer to difficult headlines keeps becoming nostalgia. Supporters obviously disagree. They argue anniversaries are normal. Families celebrate. Social media exists. Fair. But critics online responded. Then why did it all arrive at exactly this moment? That question became huge. Then another uncomfortable theory appeared. Critics online started saying maybe Harry and Meghan accidentally created a paradox. The more they try to establish a separate identity, the more public attention returns to their royal identity anyway. According to many viewers online, critics online think this wedding story became another example of that publicly. Because people weren't talking about the business, the projects, the lifestyle brand. They were talking about the cousins, the invitation, the family, the monarchy. And according to critics, that may be the most frustrating part of all. Because after years of trying to write a new chapter, the biggest headlines still seem to happen when the old story comes back. According to many viewers online, this is where the conversation became unexpectedly sad. Because critics online believe this wedding story stopped being about protocol a long time ago and became about something much more human.
$63 million.
Who still calls you family when nothing requires them to. Because according to discussions online, royal events always come with obligations,
unless the photos are the
appearances,
person she meets.
tradition,
Her eyes are always on the
expectations.
people in front of her.
But weddings?
Never on the camera.
Weddings are voluntary. You invite
confidence.
people
I think
because
that's what
you
we're
want them
expecting.
there.
We told
That's why critics online think this one landed differently publicly. Then another observation started spreading. People pointed out something uncomfortable. Nobody reportedly needed to exclude Harry publicly. Nobody needed to explain. Nobody needed to defend anything. According to many viewers online, critics online believe the absence of drama became the entire message. Because critics argue, distance no longer seems temporary. That interpretation became huge. Then people started revisiting Harry's original departure story. Freedom, space, privacy, building a different future. According to discussions online,
so
critics
now people
online
are finally
started
asking the question that should
at
have
what
been
point
asked
does
years
independence
ago.
stop feeling
Where has
like
all
choice
during the opening procession
and start feeling like
she
separation?
walked in front of them.
That question
the wounded
spread
soldiers,
fast.
the entire
Then another
reason the event
difficult
exists,
realization
and someone
appeared.
made the observation
Critics
that
online
sealed it.
started saying
Children
something
grow.
people rarely
Their
talk
clothes
about.
stop fitting.
Relationships
you cannot
don't
put the
usually
same dress
end
to Italy
dramatically.
and let the
They
pictures do the
fade.
talking.
Fewer
The difference is
texts.
everything.
Fewer
Catherine
updates.
arrives focused
Missed
entirely on her
birthdays.
early years mission.
Separate routines.
Genuinely prepared.
Eventually,
deeply knowledgeable.
the invitation never arrives. According to many viewers online, critics online think that's why this story hit emotionally. Because people projected something universal onto it. Not royalty. Family drift. Then another uncomfortable comparison appeared. People started looking at Peter and Zara. According to discussions online, critics online often point to them as examples of royals raised close to the institution without becoming dependent on it publicly. Private enough. Present enough. Connected enough. And critics online argue that contrast became symbolic during this conversation. Not because one path is right, but because different choices created different outcomes. That interpretation spread online. Then another harsh theory appeared. Critics online started saying maybe the family doesn't even think in terms of forgiveness anymore. Maybe they think in terms of predictability. Who shows up? Who stays quiet? Who protects private moments? Who becomes low risk? According to many viewers online, critics online believe that's the category Harry and Meghan struggle with publicly now. Supporters reject that completely. They argue Harry and Meghan told their truth and paid the price. That's the other side of the debate. But critics online came back with one brutal question. If trust still existed privately, would moments like this keep happening? Then another realization spread. Critics online argued the saddest possibility isn't that Harry was rejected. It's that eventually, people stop expecting him to be there. And according to many viewers online, that possibility felt much heavier than any official royal punishment ever could. According to many viewers online, this may be the hardest part of the entire conversation. Because critics online believe something changes after enough years pass. Distance stops feeling temporary and starts becoming identity. Because according to discussions online, when Harry and Meghan first left, everything still felt open. Return visits, family conversations, future reconciliation, shared events. People assumed time would soften things. According to many viewers online, critics online think moments like this wedding challenge that assumption publicly. Because time doesn't only heal. Time reorganizes. Then another observation spread. People started asking something nobody really wanted to ask. What if the family system already adapted? What if routines already changed? What if spaces that once belonged to Harry emotionally don't feel empty anymore? That question became uncomfortable. Because according to critics online, the most painful changes are rarely dramatic. Someone else becomes closer. Someone else fills the role. Someone else becomes expected. According to many viewers online, critics online think royal life increasingly looks like it reached that phase publicly. Then another comparison exploded online. People pointed out something symbolic. Harry once represented the future generation, the brothers, the next era, the modern monarchy. Now, according to discussions online, critics online believe public attention increasingly sees William, Catherine, George, Charlotte, Louis,